Now, it's not going to be a long video. I just wanted to cover Artur Beterbiev's win and Betrebiev Ramirez's win this weekend out there in NYC boxing community. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, and what an awesome Saturday night of fights we got to see, folks. Out there at the Hulu Center in Madison Square Garden. I'm not going to go into all the other smaller fights, although I did like what I saw from Troy Isley and Bruce Chushu Carrington. What I really want to talk about is Artur Beterbiev and Betrebiev Ramirez. So this won't be that long a video because I just want to talk about them two real quick. All right. So, Artur Beterbiev, Dagestan, the Chechen monster. Turns out he's not really much of a monster, but I mean, he is a monster. You know what I mean? He's like this modest, really humble, practicing devout Muslim guy that trains out of Montreal, Canada. And yeah, inside the ring, he is an abomination. My goodness. My goodness. Now, we saw that fight, y'all. If you were watching that fight, Artur Beterbiev got the second round TKO stoppage over Joe Smith Jr. and absolutely demolished him. If I counted it correctly, I think there was 5 knockdowns. And up until that point in Joe Smith Jr.'s career, we had never really seen anybody just brute manhandle Joe Smith Jr. It was a spectacle to observe. This is coming from a Joe Smith Jr. supporter, folks. I was shocked. That was an insane level of beating. I didn't even, what do I say? You know, Joe Smith Jr. is a sturdy dude, and he's kind of known for being a tough guy with a strong chin, heavy knockout power in his right hand, and Artur Beterbiev really just made it look like a hot knife through butter and really leveled up in front of the entire boxing world, or those of us that were watching the fight. And yeah, he got the second round TKO stoppage over Joe Smith Jr., and it was stunning to observe, folks. As of right now, Artur Beterbiev holds 3 of the 4 belts for undisputed. The only belt that Artur Beterbiev doesn't have at the moment is the one held by Dmitry Bivol, the WBA belt. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the next fight is going to be an undisputed fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. I think it's going to go across the pond to a fight with Anthony Yarde under the DAZN banner. I don't think we all want to see that, but I think that's what's going to happen next, folks. It is what it is. And I do believe Anthony Yarde's going to get his ass whooped. Just, come on. I want to see Artur Beterbiev fight Dmitry Bivol. But, yeah. Apparently, as far as I understand it, there was an agreement in place with Anthony Yarde and his people as far as Artur Beterbiev, if he won that fight with Joe Smith Jr., which he did. So it looks like his next fight is going to be with Anthony Yarde, even though we all want Dmitry Bivol. Once again, boxing lets us down, but not really too down because it's been a very action-packed year for boxing fans, but it looks like Anthony Yarde is next. Congratulations to Artur Beterbiev, seizing the moment, showing a different side of himself than we had never seen. I think Joe Smith Jr. was receiving a little bit of criticism for his approach, but in my opinion, that was really the only possible approach he could have used. Go at that guy head on, fight fire with fire. Do not let Artur Beterbiev build momentum in the later rounds. So the way I saw it, it was either get him out of there in the first few rounds or hellfire was going to rain down on him. So I noticed in the comments section, some people were criticizing Joe Smith Jr.'s approach to the fight against Artur Beterbiev, but to me, I felt like that was the most reasonable gamble to take considering the type of opponent that Artur Beterbiev is. Go in there, fight fire with fire, and whomever lands first wins. And it looked like Artur Beterbiev clearly landed first, and it is what it is. Joe Smith Jr., I don't know what's next for his career. He currently sits at 23-4. He has fought all the toughest light heavyweights of this current era. Eliader Alvarez, Sullivan Barrera, Bernard Hopkins, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev. He has run the gambit. And if this wasn't previous generation of boxing and a previous generation of boxing fans like the Matthew Saad Muhammad era, or say like the Kawhi Muhammad or the Michael Spinks era, I think at 23-4 he would still have, you know, a career if he wanted to, and still possibly getting title contention with another win or two. But the way the boxing landscape is now, with as deeply packed as the light heavyweight division is, I think it's up to Joe Smith Jr. and his team to decide what they really want to do. There is still some money on the table for sure, because Joe Smith Jr.'s name is still a commodity, and I would still put him above pretty much most of the people in the light heavyweight division. The Callum Smiths, the Callum Johnsons, the Anthony Yards. I would definitely pick Joe Smith Jr. over them. Betrebiev, we already saw what happened with Artur Beterbiev. Little bit of a different story, but Joe Smith Jr. is still my guy. Local 66 union member, Long Island's famous, folks. Joe Smith Jr. Give it up to the man. Let's move gears and switch over to the Robeisy Ramirez win. What an epic performance by Robeisy Ramirez, the two-time Olympic gold medalist. Got his 10th professional victory. His record is now 10-1 with that one-punch knockout stoppage of Abraham Nava in the second round of that fight out there at the Hulu Center at Madison Square Garden. Robeisy Ramirez essentially put on a clinic against Abraham Nava. And mind you, Abraham Nava was undefeated 20-0 with 15 knockouts leading up to that fight. And Abraham Nava had fought some pretty good blue chip prospects. But Robeisy Ramirez is clearly on a whole nother level, folks. It's very difficult to talk about Robeisy Ramirez without hardcore boxing fans bringing up Shakur Stevenson, because they had that amateur rivalry, because Robeisy was the guy that got the 2 Olympic gold medals, because he also was the one that beat Shakur. Now, everyone wants to see that fight happen. And I'm not even sure if that fight ever will happen, because I think Shakur is just too big. I think by the time that Robeisy matures and gets to the point where he's going to contend for a 130-pound title, Shakur Stevenson will probably end up vacating and moving up to 135, if not 140. But definitely, I think after Robeisy Ramirez's last performance against Abraham Nava, those in the boxing world are salivating at the idea of maybe possibly seeing Shakur and Robeisy run it back again. But it really is a little too early in Robeisy's career to really, try to pit him against Shakur Stevenson at this juncture, because we all kind of are under the agreement that Shakur Stevenson is a monster. He's a beast in the 130 and 135-pound division should he move up. But I like what I saw from Robeisy Ramirez. He stood there in the pocket. He landed his shots with authority. He put his weight and planted it in his feet. He was not moving around as much as you would think an amateur would. Rightfully so. He's not fighting in the amateurs anymore. This is the professionals. And Robeisy Ramirez has clearly made the adjustments into the pro ranks. His future is looking massively bright, folks. I would love to see Robeisy Ramirez against any of the top dogs in that division. Go ahead, give him Navarrete. Let's see what happens. Oh, wait. Navarrete is 126. Never mind. Hold off on Navarrete. Anyways, let Robeisy Ramirez get some more seasoning out there in the 130 division. I think maybe another 2 or 3 fights. Let him contend for a title. If Shakur Stevenson does an outright win undisputed and end up vacating, but I really don't think Shakur Stevenson is going to undisputed 130. I think he's going to chase the big money at 135. Anyways, hats off to Robeisy Ramirez. Cuban boxing is looking like it's in great hands. You got guys like Kim, Andy Cruz. Let's see, who are the other Cuban guys coming in? Let me look this up real quick. Cuban amateurs turning pro. Because a whole bunch of them just turned, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, Arlen Lopez. So Robeisy Ramirez is coming in with that tidal wave of Cuban amateurs that are going pro. He was the first one to go pro, but you got guys like Arlen Lopez and Andy Cruz, who are Olympic gold medalists. And it looks like there's going to be a big wave of Cuban fighters who are probably going to win championships in the future, folks. I'm really excited to see what the Cuban country does as far as professional boxing now that the floodgates have been opened for them to compete as professionals. Anyways, boxing community, what did you think about Robeisy's performance? What did you think about Artur Beterbiev's performance? Let me know in the comments section. Hit like if you haven't already done so. Are you not already following me? It's your boy Hot Boxing Minute. Till the next time, folks.